This conference will now be recorded.
I'm not sitting for the pledge. I was taking off my
Okay,
seatbelt.
well, started a trend. We follow suit.
Didn't know I had that much power. Well,
How about now?
I guess we'll start now. Thanks for coming. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a full agenda tonight, starting with a public hearing. I've renumbered these local laws to reflect how they'll actually be passed chronologically. So I guess I'll just start by explaining this local law, or the purpose behind it. We've needed an assessor in Wilmington for literally, if it's not 2 years, it's close to it. And you know, I've kind of gotten close to exhausting what I can do as far as advertising for this position. So the only thing we went a period of time, 6 months or more, probably more than 6 months, with just one assessor where we should have 3. Wilmington is one of only 5 towns, and this is in the packet. This is after the local law. Wilmington is one of only 5 towns in the county that still do the traditional method of selecting their assessors, which is 3 elected assessors, the others being Essex, Mariah, North Hudson, and Scroon. You know, it's certainly we've discussed, and the previous board discussed, and probably we will continue to discuss the option of just going to a sole appointed assessor. If we end up paying what, say, St. Armand pays, or Minerva, or Lewis, we'll be saving money. A lot of these towns share an assessor between them. You know, I think Westport, he works for Jane Keene as well, for example. But that if we do go to a sole appointed assessor, that will be a long bureaucratic process. It'll probably require a ballot measure, I would expect. Certainly it'll be a permissive referendum, and I suspect it may be a mandatory referendum. So for now, sticking with the traditional method of 3 elected assessors, to try to find a third, the town board has decided to raise the assessors' salaries, and hopefully that will make the position more attractive to someone. We tried to raise the salaries by resolution. We actually have to pass a law to raise the salary of a position like this outside of the budget time of the year. So it's a lot of procedural hoops we have to go through to do something that one might not have thought would be that difficult. So here we are, and I'm opening the public hearing on Local Law 2 of 2026, and I have to read this too. Notice is hereby given that pursuant to Section 20 of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, and pursuant to a resolution adopted on May 12th, 2026, by the Town Council, quote-unquote Town Board of the Town of Wilmington, the Wilmington Town Board will hold a public hearing at 6 p.m. on May 12th, 2026 at the Community Center, with our regular meeting immediately following the public hearing. At the public hearing, the town board shall hear from all interested parties regarding the adoption of proposed Local Law 2 of 2026, titled A Local Law to Increase the Salaries of Elected Assessors in the Town of Wilmington. Additional information, including copies of the proposed local law, may be obtained from the town clerk's office, which is 7 Community Circle, P.O. Box 180, signed Dawn Stevens, Wilmington Town Clerk. So I'll open the public hearing, and just to remind people who haven't attended a public hearing before, this isn't meant to be a dialogue. This is meant to allow the public to be heard. There may be some dialogue. There will certainly be dialogue amongst the board members afterwards. And there may be some dialogue between the board and the public afterwards, after the public hearing. But for now, this is not a Q&A. This is just for us to hear anything you would like to say about proposed local law 2 of 2026. And the text of the proposed local law is following the agenda in the handout. It's also posted to the town website. I'll give it a minute. Are you the official timekeeper, Laura?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, so you decide how long we're going to wait.
Do 1 minute.
Okay, we're going to do 1 minute.
47.
You got 47 seconds. Just raise your hand if you'd like to say something, and I'll call on you. I think that's probably enough. I wasn't expecting the public to have much to say. So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing at this time. One final chance for anyone who'd like to say anything. Okay, I'll make that motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, so now someone has to make, well, I think at this point we should pass this local law. So I'll make a motion to pass this local law. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Is there discussion? Okay.
Roll call.
Anyone have any questions at all? Okay,
Hannah,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Tim,
yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Carrie. All in favor?
Now, we have just recently hired a new land use attorney. And he did point out something in local law 3 that, so local law 3, there's a mistake in our zoning code where 2 lines in our code are reversed. And so it makes the code kind of incoherent, and it doesn't do what was intended. It makes the whole section basically useless and kind of very hard to understand because it's kind of an Alice in Wonderland situation where things are reversed. So this is section 3 of local law 3 is how this was supposed to look when it was written. Our new land use attorney did point out that if this is applied literally, any forestry, if you're in the hamlet or the moderate intensity zoning district, would require a special use permit. And he asked if that's really what we want to do. And I think that's a valid question. So, and you know, Darren did bring up several meetings ago, and having given this some thought, I think I'm going to maybe change what I had said before, and I think maybe we should lower these numbers. First, we have to decide if we really want any forestry whatsoever in the hamlet or moderate intensity districts to require a use permit, and then we can talk about the numbers. So the first question is, do we want this to be applied literally, or do we want to rewrite this in some other way? And I'll open the floor to everyone.
I mean, essentially, this means like you've implied 1 acre or 50 acres,
Half an acre.
right? I mean, yeah, which is pretty restrictive.
Meaning you can't cut a tree on your own land or what?
Well, so forestry in our code, it doesn't mean like logging for development, but it does mean logging for the sake of logging. Like logging for the sake of, I mean, I can get the definition, but it's a pretty wordy and convoluted definition, but it means, yeah, it means logging. I think from what I remember of the definition, I think it would mean logging for the purpose of even firewood. Just not logging for some other purpose, you know?
Somebody would have to get a permit to cut firewood on their own land.
If this was to be applied literally, yeah. So that's why we're saying we should probably think about changing it.
Yeah.
That's why, yeah, Van, I'm glad he brought it up. And
forestry use and the code currently, any management, including logging of a forest, woodland, or plantation and related research and educational activities, including the construction, alteration, or maintenance of wood roads, skidways, landings, fences, and forest drainage systems.
So the first part, can you read the first part again?
Any management, including logging of a forest, woodland, or plantation and related research and educational activities.
So is cutting for firewood management? I wouldn't think so.
I mean, if it's not defined, you could argue anything, I
You
guess.
could, that's right, you could argue both sides, yeah.
Who's gonna know if you go out back and cut firewood? I mean,
No one, that's a good point. You know, we do kind of get hung up on a lot of hypotheticals and kind of really strictly applying these laws, but a lot of these laws are not very strictly applied in Wilmington. So, but I mean, it's a good point if we are going to apply it literally, you know.
Mhm.
Right now, our code enforcement officer mostly responds to complaints, you know, so. And it would have to be like the town board essentially. It would have to be a neighbor who complained, and then the town board would have to tell them to investigate it. And then, but if it were to be, if someone wanted to apply it literally, I guess it would possibly be a violation of the code. I don't think that it would actually go anywhere, but
Wouldn't now be the time to fix it though, before you have to go through all of this again? You know, before you finalize it, before we file it with the state?
yes. Yes. So do we want to do forestry of more than 5 acres, more than 10 acres, more than 15, more than 3? Because, yeah, forestry of less than is forestry of half. That is a much more logical way of dealing with it.
So you're saying between 10 and 50? Or 15 and 50 or whatever that we say?
That's right.
Okay.
Well, if it's more than, if it's
It would be
65,
anywhere.
it would, yeah.
But then the next one is prohibited in a hamlet.
Good point.
If it's over 50 though.
Good point.
Right, but he just said 65.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's
49.
between whatever we set it
Here
in
we go
50.
again.
49.99. Yeah. Does anyone have any ideas about the number they would like?
Did you decide on what number one is gonna be first, or no?
We're working on it.
Okay. I thought maybe I missed it.
Should we table this?
I'm in favor of lower, obviously.
Shout out a number and we can discuss it. We need some starting point.
How about 5?
That's a good starting point. How about 5?
Meaning what? I mean, 5
If you were to,
acres.
if you were to log more than 5 acres, you would need a permit in the hamlet, in the moderate intensity districts. You wouldn't need a permit still in the low intensity, in the other districts, the rural use and the other districts.
Would anybody be against? I'm fine with the 5. If we left it as 5 for the hamlet and maybe changed it to 10 for moderate.
That's fair.
And then I'm fine with the more than 50.
Could we do, since we're in such a transition with the site plan review, could we turn the site plan review into special use permit for 2? Or do you want to keep it because it's more restrictive or more intensive? What?
This is the first time I've ever even thought about it. So I really have no opinion because I haven't done any research really. You know, I would have to think about it a little and look into it. I mean, I'm definitely open to it. I just don't really want to commit to it
Right.
at this moment. Is that's your preference, is to go to?
I was just throwing it out there because we are trying to come up with different ideas for the site plan review, so process based upon what kind of a project is being proposed. So I didn't know if forestry would fall into, like if we'd have to do another type of site plan review for that, or, it's just.
I mean, I'm fine with going with special use permit, like Laura said, because that still gives the planning and zoning board a chance to review it, ask questions, place limitations, exceptions on it.
So like, special use permit sounds like it's more restrictive, but the site plan review is actually a more rigorous process, right, than special use permit?
Mhm.
And I would assume you and Randy are the ones most up to speed on both of those things from being on the planning board. If that's your recommendation, I can go along with it. Yes.
I would say, yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing is changing that number 50 at the start of 2 to a lower number. I think it's all right for it to be 50 for a prohibited use. I think that's fine. But it seems like you don't need a permit until you're, up to 50 acres in the rest of the town. It seems like that number should be lower to me. I would say, but I don't know what the number would be.
You're talking about everything beyond Hamlet
And
and moderate.
Yep. So I would put a period where the first comma goes. And then forestry of more than X shall require a special use permit in the rest of the town.
What about 10 for the rest of the town as well?
That makes sense to me. I'm open to other numbers if the rest of the board feels differently. Because, it's not prohibiting it, it's just saying you need a permit.
Mhm.
And 10 acres is pretty big.
Back to the firewood thing again. I know it's getting old, but
It's not, it's fine. We're in Wilmington.
so I got 30 acres, say.
Yep.
If you're cutting firewood, you don't really stand in one spot and level every tree in sight. I kind of like to move around from one spot to another spot. So how would anybody ever keep track of how many acres you're cutting firewood on or whatever?
I don't, yeah.
Just a simple thing. I mean, I know you said it's probably not going to be enforced all that much or whatever, but.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to have a neighbor who knew this law and was up to speed on where you were.
Well, thankfully, my neighbors, well, I won't say.
Yeah. I was thinking it too.
Okay. Enough said.
Yeah, I don't think it's, I mean, I understand it, but I don't think it's a concern that someone should have, really. Because I think that the complaint would be, someone sees a large area clear cut, not someone thinks their neighbor might have logged for firewood 12 acres, or 20 acres.
Could you add an exception in there?
We don't even know if firewood counts for forestry. We don't even know if.
Well, that would cover it though, but it wouldn't be part of it if you put an exception. Personal use.
Honestly,
Firewood.
local law 5 really does deal with land clearing. Forestry and land clearing are 2 different things. So I think the firewood situation would really apply more in land clearing than forestry. Especially if we define land clearing that way. It's true, we could put an exception if we want. That's not a bad idea.
The lot 5 is about for development in this 1 year.
Correct, but, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
We shouldn't.
I mean, I would think that 10 is too low for low intensity rural use and resource management, because the whole purpose of those units are basically for that type of thing, farming, logging, whatever, because they're not basically suitable for development, because it's hard to get any type of development in those districts. So the whole purpose of those districts are for things like farming and logging. So to cut it all the way back to 10, the same as what we have in a moderate intensity, seems a speck low, considering that's what those districts are designated for.
Good point.
I mean, you take areas like, out behind the landfill, there's 300 or 400 acres there, and they log certain sections of it every, 10 years, and nobody even knows that it's happening because the area is so big. And I understand that, we are trying to keep an eye on things. However, at some point, it can become a hindrance more than a help if we have to do this for every 10 acres, even in areas that's what the intended use is.
What number would you like to see?
I mean, if we want to go down from 50, I mean, I think it should be at least 30. But
About half, about 25.
sure.
What do you think?
I mean, I agree that 10 acres is, in the whole scheme of things, pretty small, for some tracts out there. But it depends on depends on a lot of things. What is there any process, or just thoughts on requiring some sort of, and maybe this is already written somewhere, a submission if you're going to log, a certain, or do a forestry use on a certain number of acres, just submitting a proposal from a certified forester or someone who just has some background saying
DEC does that kind of stuff.
That's
The
already
ones they-
that's already
Yeah,
required.
because
Okay.
they
I figured there was already something.
They brought the
that does that.
report in, and in the
But-
tax book, there's a whole section
Okay.
where they get cut on their taxes because their land is being managed by DEC.
Okay.
For cutting and stuff. If we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it in perspective, because 4 of the people at the table know where my grandparents' house is. So my grandparents' house, and we're rural use, I believe. My grandparents' house, and then down to my Aunt Patty's house, that encompasses 25 acres. And back quite a bit. So, I mean, to put that into perspective, and then 5 acres across the street. So that is if you know that area, I mean, that is significant amount of land that would be 25 acres. So I'm just trying to give a visual.
It's a good point, and thanks, that is helpful, because that is huge.
Right.
It's a huge distance if it goes, and does go back fairly far, so. I mean, I have no idea how far it goes back, but even though distance on the road is a long distance.
Yep.
So what number would you recommend?
To require a permit in those areas, I think, I mean, 25 would be requiring a permit. So, I mean, I think 30 is too much. 50 is way too much for my opinion, but I don't know. I'm just, 25 sounds fine. I'm just saying that is the perspective of it. And it wouldn't, you never know where the landscape, you could have just an entrance into a land and then you're not seeing any of it. It's not necessarily landlocked, but you're not seeing the depth of what a logging project is. I mean, see trees pulled out of, riding down the road all the time and never see where that they're coming from. So I think there's plenty of areas in the North Country that are logged that you don't even know that it's happened.
Sure.
I think most logging outfits don't go in again and just clear cut everything and, you know, they selective cutting, like you said, you don't even really realize. I mean, you see a stump here and there as it go down the road, but it's not like they're cutting 20 trees in one spot. I mean, right within, say 50 feet or whatever, but so I think 25 would be good, really.
Okay. Okay. I think we have consensus. Good. Forestry of more than 25 acres shall require special use permit and approval in the low intensity rural use and resource management zoning districts. Now, unfortunately, procedurally, we probably should have a public hearing on this because it's been changed enough that it would require it. So I would say we should have it at the start of the end of the month meeting. Okay. I'll make that motion then, I guess. I think we do need to have a resolve to do that. So I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Good. Local law 4. You know, we talked about this at length at the last meeting, and I think if anyone wants to understand where we're coming from and why we've made some of the decisions we've made, you can. I don't think it makes sense to repeat all of that information. I went through the whole local law and summarized and explained it, and we discussed it in a pretty good amount of detail. So if anyone wants more info, it is on YouTube of the last meeting. So now, you know, this is, we brought forth a local law, changed it, held a public hearing, you know, conferred amongst the board, I believe at 2 meetings, changed it based on what the public said and what the board wanted to do, submitted it to a land use attorney. I've received it back from the land use attorney. He had about 20 suggestions, and you know, 17 of them were just stylistic. I did want to point out that the last land use attorney, local law 1, early draft I had Wilmington zoning code, and he said change it to zoning ordinance, and this guy said change it to zoning code, but I left it at zoning ordinance. At this point, I believe there's very little, based on our previous discussion, there's very little the board needs to decide. The words that are highlighted are changes the land use attorney advised me to make that are more than stylistic. I think that, so I suppose we'll simply go through and discuss there's a few things we need to discuss. First of all, he said add with a footprint for a tiny home. And he said exclude porches and decks and stairs. He suggested including that, and I think it does make sense from the definition of a tiny home for the square footage. And he also suggested adding with a footprint, because that would, you know, if this dwelling unit has a second floor or a loft of some kind, you know, we don't want to regulate based on their basement and based on their loft. We want to regulate based on the footprint of the building, I think. So, does anyone have any issue with making those changes to the local law?
I disagree with that
Okay.
totally,
Okay.
because
All right.
with a footprint, you could basically have a 1,400 square foot house
Okay.
If it's 2 stories and all of a sudden it's doing this, footprint does not make any sense.
Okay. Well, that's why we're
Not
discussing
for
it.
that size, anyway.
Well, it wouldn't be a tiny home.
Yeah.
Right.
Wouldn't be tiny house anymore.
Well, yeah, that's why we're discussing it. This is what he suggested. I'll take it out
But if
again.
you change to 700 square feet, which I didn't think that's what you guys decided. It's not what I wrote down anyway.
Well, yes,
If you change that 700 square feet, then the footprint would make more sense.
this brings up another point. So we can revisit the footprint thing if the board wants to. But the other point is, at the last meeting, I initially defined a tiny home as less than 1,000. Then I, based on feedback from a board member, changed it to, lowered it to 800. And then again, based on board feedback, went with 500. As Darren said at the last meeting, which is what I had also been saying, at that point, it's pointless. Because at that point, the minimum square footage is 400 square feet. So we're at that point, if we're only regulating less than 500, we're regulating dwellings within 100 square feet band. So there's no point, right? We don't want to, we can just delete those sections if that's what we're going to do. So we need to decide, I guess big picture, we need to decide, do we want to regulate tiny homes? There's arguments for and against. The reason the regulations are in here is based on the feedback we received from the public. That's why I added this.
I just wanted to touch on that.
Please.
So originally, when we were going from 300 to, or 500 to 300, this was important. We're going from 500 to 400. I do not feel like that is as important as it would have been if there were 300 square feet as the tiny home definition. So I don't think 10 feet on either side of a house is going to be, too noticeable that it's going to be a detriment to a neighbor, that it's something that we should be regulating as rigidly as this document implies.
So if I understand Laura correctly, I agree. At this point, we're actually making it more restrictive than we've had in the past, because now we're regulating from 5 to 700. And the whole purpose of this law is to loosen restrictions to allow people to build. So we shrunk it from 500 to 400 to allow people, but now we're requiring more restrictions from 5 to 7, which we didn't have before. I personally think for 100 square feet, do away with it and save ourselves the headache.
As I said, so this is just for the public, because I said this at the last meeting. This is not a passion of mine. This is not something that's coming from me. This is just me trying to respond to what the public, the people who took the time to show up and speak up, they seem to want this. So I'm trying to give them what they want. But I'm perfectly, I don't mind taking it out. It wasn't there in the first place. It's not my idea. It's just.
I mean, I think Laura's right too. When it was 300,
That was
That's a
when we
much
had the public
different-
hearing.
right? And the whole reason to change it to 400 is so you could it eliminates some of those trailer style tiny homes. So
Okay. Unless hearing if there's any further discussion, is there any further discussion of that issue?
And I think we can still do 300 for an accessory, I think that's still in our code somewhere. 300 still exists somewhere in our code for.
It would be superseded by this because this supersedes everything else. And this is a minimum size for a dwelling unit.
Accessory.
It's a dwelling unit. Possibly, you are more, familiar with the code, so it's totally possibly right. I guess we would have to look that up, but you're probably right. So we're just going to delete sections 3 and 4. Again, 5. The rest of it, again, it's all what the public seemed to want. Initially, what we were asked to do by the planning board was treat manufactured homes and tiny homes the same as traditional homes. That was the request from the planning board. So we submitted a draft of the local law doing that. What we heard from the public was that they did not like that. Currently in our code, you have to have a 3-acre lot to have a manufactured home. So to kind of meet in the middle between what the planning board asked us to do and what, frankly, most or all of the board wants to do and what the public wants, we're talking about now going from a 3-acre lot to a 1-acre lot as the minimum lot size. And again, we heard from the public, we don't want multiple manufactured homes on a single lot. So then Darren brought up the point, well, what if there's a family that owns a large piece of property and they want more than one manufactured home on the property? And that's not uncommon in Wilmington. So I changed it to no more than one manufactured home per acre. So that's where these are now. Previously, we didn't require site plan review for manufactured homes. Again, this is added to the proposed local law based on the public feedback.
But it's only required in the 1 to 3 acre districts. It's not required above 3, just like it's.
That's right. Yep. True. Yep.
And we can also do away with 7 if I'm correct, right, Tim? So 3, 4, and 7.
It's up to the board.
Well,
You know,
we're doing the rest with tiny homes. There's no real reason to have that in there either, because we don't have a definition for tiny home if we just say with 3 and 4.
touche. Good point. Any further discussion on that?
So what would the minimum requirement be for tiny homes then?
Just 400. It just has to be larger than 400 square feet. That's it.
I mean, the home, but what about the land?
Same as it's always been.
Yeah.
Anywhere where a normal dwelling would be, they're permitted.
There is no regulation of tiny homes other than the minimum dwelling size in our current code. Based on what the public seemed to want, I added these sections of this proposed local law, but now we're talking about, taking them out. And
So they can actually put them wherever.
as long as it's,
20.
well, I guess it wouldn't even
I
have
mean,
to
if
be,
a house could be on a half an acre, a tiny house could be on a half an acre or whatever.
it could be on a substandard lot.
Okay.
Can you repeat what you said about the 1 to 3?
So it would only require a special use permit from 1 to 3 acres, because more than 3 acres, it's always been a permitted use. For manufactured housing, they've always been permitted on more than 3 acres with no special use permit. So why would we want them to have a special use permit on more than 3 acres now? Basically,
I just don't see that in here. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that that's,
Yes, here's where it is.
okay. Sean, please.
The last couple lines, couple words of subsection 5, we're not requiring site plan review in the low intensity resource management zoning districts. We're requiring it in only 2 of, I believe, the 5 different types of zoning districts. So if it's outside of the hamlet or moderate intensity zoning district, it wouldn't require site plan review.
Right, but that doesn't imply, I mean, you could have a 3-acre lot in a hamlet, you could have a 3-acre lot.
I didn't interpret what he was saying literally. I interpreted it as I interpreted it as referring to zoning districts. That's what you're talking about, right?
well, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, however you want to define it right now, you can put
Anything up
manufactured
there,
housing
yeah.
as long as you have 3 acres
Right.
and nothing.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily say that in here. So by passing it the way it is, you could have a 20-acre lot, and technically if it's in the hamlet, you still have to get a special use permit. Or you could have a 20-acre lot in moderate intensity and still need a special use permit. Right now, you do not.
Right.
So again, we've actually tightened it up again rather than actually loosening it.
In that one circumstance, yes. Overall, we've loosened it, but in that particular circumstance, there is more regulation than there is currently.
Which I think that goes for what the public had been requesting, as far as the hamlets anyway, but
That's true. That's a good point.
I know what you're saying.
They were very, we heard a lot from the public that, they wanted to limit these and they wanted them to be less visible in the hamlet. So we're trying to respond to what the people who spoke said and asked for. Further discussion of any of the amendments through 7, or of any of the sections through 7. Okay.
So if just
Yep.
one thing,
Yep.
to help with that, what if we just, on 5, if we're mostly concerned about hamlet and most moderate intensity, you need at least an acre anyway. What if we just had hamlet 1, hamlet 2, and we just crossed out moderate intensity? Then if it was in a moderate intensity district and you had at least an acre, then you don't have to go through the special use permit. I mean, because the concern really was in the hamlet.
The only thing is that some of these boundaries are strange and they're not what one would think. As you know, the hamlet ends at Steinhoff's. Like, no one thinks of that as the end of the hamlet. So to give it a little more space, I went with moderate intensity. That's the reason I made that choice. Because I think people think of the hamlet as, I don't know, maybe to the Wilderness Inn or maybe to the Hungry Trout, really, the center of town. But it isn't, that's not how our maps are defined. That's the only reason I did that. In some ways, the hamlet is larger than you would think. It goes out farther on Hazelton Road than I would have thought it does. But in that way, it's smaller. So, but if the rest of, I have no real opinion whatsoever. So I'll open the floor to the board. Should we take out moderate intensity?
I wouldn't mind taking it out as well, but I do feel like some of the comments we got from the public indicated that they also felt it should be extended further.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What's this gonna do to the, I call it the mother-in-law cottage?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's still gonna be, they're still gonna be able to have a small, like a tiny house, but
Yeah. I think the only thing it does is it has to, well, it depends, it totally depends on the situation, but big picture, probably the answer is nothing. It changes the minimum changes the minimum dwelling size from 500 to 400. It's currently 500 minimum dwelling size. And if the main house is a manufactured house, you would have to get a variance to have the second house be a manufactured house as well, within an acre of the main house. But
they can
generally,
still get a variance.
nothing. Yes. Yep. Laura and Randy, do you have thoughts on moderate intensity requiring site plan for manufactured homes?
I mean, we're gonna have to have another public hearing. I think we just see if we get any feedback on that.
So just leave it?
I'd leave it and see if there's, see what the public has to say, because it was put in there for that reason.
Yeah, I'm okay with leaving it for now.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be funny if at the next public hearing we hear,
Take it out.
no, if we just hear the opposite of what we heard at the next one, which wouldn't, or at the last one, it wouldn't be shocking. Any discussion? These are all, they've been changed, but the changes were just stylistic. There's no meaningful changes the rest of the way. Is there discussion amongst the board of the rest of this?
I'm fine with the rest of it, Tim. My last suggestion is rather than doing districts, to keep it to what it is now and just leave it as requiring a site plan review on lots less than 3 acres. And then basically it puts it back to the same as it is now.
Just to add site plan review, which it doesn't have now.
Right.
Now, what section are you talking about?
Five.
Basically 5, basically just change it to rather than Hamlet 1, 2 and moderate on lots less than 3 acres.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that basically changes it to the same as it is now.
That would mean though, everywhere else in town, you would need a site plan review if your lot is less than 3 acres. Which it would be a substandard lot in the rest of the town, but those lots exist, so.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Jim. Yeah. I don't know. I see both sides of that.
Yeah, outside of. If it's less than 3 acres, it would have to be outside of moderate, like you said anyway, or it'd be substandard.
Yep. And I have no sense of how many substandard lots there are in the low intensity zoning district, you know? I know there's definitely some.
But I would think that's where we'd want the oversight. If it is a substandard lot, they'd have to get a.
Okay.
So,
The thing is that at that point, it's far outside of the center of town.
right, but my point is like, so regardless of whether it's a manufactured home or a stick-built house, if it's a substandard lot, it has to get a zoning variance anyway
I don't
to
think
have a
so.
bill.
No, it's grandfathered in.
No. So some of the lots, I remember seeing, I think there were 2 applications on substandard lots. They did have to get a variance.
They don't automatically have a building right just because they're a substandard lot.
I think there was either a lot line adjustment, or I can't remember exactly, but I remember it being discussed. I can't like say 100%.
See, I
This
was,
is-
go ahead.
Sorry, Tim. This is an area where like, it's not 3 acres, but like Thrat Way. Some of the lots in there, I know in the past, are like 0.9 acres.
Yep.
That's in a moderate intensity district. They're supposed to be 1 acre. So in order to build anything on those lots, you need to get a variance in order to build, because even though it's an existing lot, it's in 1 acre zoning, they're 0.9 acres, you can't build unless you get a variance on those lots.
That could very well be. My understanding was not that, but, you know, I haven't really looked into this in like a long time. So that you could be right. Because the thing is, and this is off topic, but if a substandard lot, you could be denied a building permit, that renders that lot worthless. But that's neither here nor there, you know? Anyway, so what's going on? What are we doing?
I think we're gonna set a public hearing if the board approves the changes as it is. We have to set another public hearing.
Do we want to change it from the Hamlet in moderate intensity to below 3 acres? As a lawyer, I think it's cleaner this way. If we hear the public that they want us to tighten it up, I'm willing to tighten it up further.
I just feel like we're allowing them in, which we didn't before,
Mhm.
in the 1 to 3, but now over 3, you have to jump into a hoop, like that you never had to jump before. So like,
All right.
I don't know.
No, I see the logic of what you're saying. I do.
Maybe we say Hamlet 1, 2, and moderate intensity, except greater than 3 acres. I don't know.
I don't know either. how would you rewrite section 5 or the second part of section 5, the last couple clauses, the last clause?
I'm fine with doing it as Laura said, if you wanted to do 1, 2 in moderate intensity for all lots less than 3 acres. Just literally leave it like it is and put comma and all lots less than 3 acres in these zoning districts. For all lots less than 3 acres in these zoning districts.
You know, I don't have a strong opinion. I just think it's, how it's written is more in line with what we heard at the public hearing. That's my, like I said, it's not a strong opinion, but that's my opinion, is how it's written is what the public expressed is more aligned.
I think what the point of it is that if you have 3 acres in any of those areas at this current moment, you can put a manufactured home in without anything.
So the public's opinion at that point, they can do it right now.
Right. So
But now we're basically saying
right,
that you may not be.
exactly. So we're,
So okay.
you know what I mean? No.
This is reminding me of the square footage conversation I think just got.
Oh, sorry.
When you talk about these things 14 times, it does. And, it's easy to get this stuff twisted up. So
Well, why don't we sit on it, sit on this sentence and let our brains wrap around it and then discuss it at the public hearing.
Doesn't make sense to me that for 1 acre you can and for 3 acres and above you can't. Why would you do that? I mean, why would you change that?
No,
To
that's
me, it
not
makes no sense.
It's the opposite.
right.
Seems like kind of creating a problem that really doesn't
Yeah, so
exist.
your side of
I
it
mean,
too, you're saying somebody could have 10 acres in the hamlet and want to put a manufactured home.
Right now they can, but if you change that, they can't. That don't make sense to me whatsoever.
Right, that's kind of my point behind it.
Mhm.
okay, so I'm hearing a consensus from the board, basically, I think. So how should, it seems like we have to add a couple words to the end of section 5. What should those words be?
Whatever you said.
Lots
Less
less
than,
than 3
or
acres.
Yeah, I think they're.
that makes sense.
All right, I'll just rewrite it and we'll publicize it and set the public hearing. Because I don't, yeah, I'll have to rewrite it. Well, I guess you could just add in lots. Well, we'll see what Van says and how he recommends writing it. So, any more discussion of any aspect of this?
I have a question on, I don't know what number it is, but it says all manufactured homes within the town of Wilmington shall have wooden steps or decking for all entrances.
I was gonna say.
Why do they have to be wood? Why can't they be concrete or stone or Trex or whatever? Why does it have to be wood?
That was just, people didn't want the fiberglass, traditional
Mhm.
manufactured home stuff.
Well, I kind of disagree with that because I've had that for, let's see,
Quite some time.
29 years, and it's the same ones I've had for,
I have it on the side of my house. I totally get
but
it.
I'm just saying, why wood? Why can't it be concrete, or why can't it be stones, or why can't it be Trex, or whatever?
Maybe putting that the stairs have to be permanently attached. And that would, and it doesn't matter what they're made out of, if they're permanently attached,
Mhm.
they could be those, or they're not gonna be pulling apart and looking like some of the things do.
I'm going to let Laura take the lead in this part of the conversation because you did recommend this clause.
That was based upon conversations and I'm happy to
Take it out.
take it out, change it, whatever anybody would like to do.
I can see having wooden steps or, you know, but not just plain old wooden steps, no matter,
As long as the steps is permanently attached to the building. I can't see where there should be
it
any
should be a
issue.
choice. I don't
No
care
matter
if it's
what
a
we think.
manufactured home or a stick-built home. Who are we to tell the people what kind of steps they have to walk up into their house or home or whatever?
Who are we to tell the people you can't have a manufactured home on a 0.9 acre, who are we to tell the people any of these types of things?
Well, I know.
So we'll just delete that clause or change it to, I have no opinion on this.
Again, who's gonna go around and check on their steps? It's just a question. I mean, it just seems like some of this stuff is like,
Okay,
why?
okay. Well, if people show up at the next public hearing with signs asking for wooden steps, we'll put it back in.
And then Tim, I know you're gonna look through this whole thing, but there's a few spots in here where we'll have to take out tiny homes since we're doing them. They just have been deleted. It is not anything that I have suggestions about, but when you go through it, it mentions tiny homes in a few other spots.
Good point. Okay. Okay, so any further discussion? Okay, I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the last Wednesday of this month. Immediately following, I guess, the public hearing on local law 3. Is there a second
Second.
discussion? Okay, this will be, the changes will be publicized well in advance of the public hearing, probably sometime next week, if not earlier. Shouldn't be that hard to make these changes. So hearing no discussion really on the public hearing, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Announcements and reports.
Super briefly, we started publicizing more information on the comprehensive plan and how to inquire if you are interested. Posted on the website, a few other places, and I'm going to be getting some flyers up as well. So if you are interested or have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to Dawn, just let us know. And I'm going to give a little bit of my time to Joyce as well to talk about one of the events that they're doing.
So this weekend, starting on Thursday, you're having our annual two-fly tournament. And there will be a band and a food truck and down at the beach from, let's say, it's sticking in my head for some reason. And we're just inviting the whole town. I mean, it's open to the public. Don't think that because you don't fly fish, you can't come. Because there'll be lots of people around to talk to, and it's just a good time to hang out with people. So just make sure you know that it's there and come on down. Have some barbecue or drink a beer or whatever you gotta do. So,
Thank you.
That's this Thursday?
yes,
Okay.
it's Thursday. The tournament goes through till Saturday night. And there's a dinner Saturday night at Hungry Trout, but this is just kind of a thing we started a few years ago, just to get everybody involved.
Good idea.
The posters in the foyer, anybody wants the exact times and
Yes.
where.
Yes,
it's
thanks,
As you
Dawn.
go out.
Thanks, Dawn.
I will touch on things throughout the meeting. I'm good.
Okay. Fishing derby on Saturday. Registration starts at 9 Saturday, so that'd be the 16th. Registration starts at 9. This is a youth fishing derby. So Charlie, don't. The derby itself starts at 10. They have that when you were growing up.
I don't think so.
Still looking for members of the youth committee. We have had a few people interested, and they have had one meeting. Same with the committee to dredge the river. It's kind of been, well, I just haven't had a huge outpouring of interest of people wanting to sign up for that committee, but we have discussed it at these meetings, kind of what I see as the path forward. And people who want to participate and help, please get a hold of me if you'd like to help. Homestead housing. My point of contact at the land bank had asked us to help put in a driveway. I called to touch base about that. I think last week, and Nikki is no longer with and so since then I've been trying to figure out who to talk to, and
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
yeah, yep, yes. But I do have an appointment with the executive director to talk on the phone on Thursday. So, and hopefully they can deal with the permitting to put in the driveway. We did walk the property with the engineer. I'm eager to get past the walking the property phase. I did receive from the county, or we received from the county, $1,600 to pay teenagers this summer. I'm gonna, of course the contract is about this thick, and so I have to read this contract and see if we can start them now. I mean, if we can start them now, there's work to be done if they can work on the weekends, but I don't know if there's date limitations, but I just wanted to share that good news that we did get some money from the county for that. Same type of thing, we did get a grant from the Essex County Art Council for $800 for our summer concerts, which is more than we got last year. I think we got 500 last year, but I'm not sure. That's also positive. This is something that we talked about last year, and we talked about it, but then there was a lack of follow through. We need to get some signs that say authorized personnel only. And so I'm just telling the board that I'm going to do that. And if anyone has any objection, speak now. We need it for here. We need several so I will do that in the near future, and we'll put them up. And any discussion about that whatsoever?
$650.
What's that?
We got $650 from the
Last year.
Adirondack Arts Council,
Wilmington's chief fact checker.
or Essex County Arts, excuse me.
Yes. Yep. I have other things to say, but they're not really pressing. And the only thing I want to say really is I've been impressed by the town employees and how good of a job they do. And that's been the case for more than 4 years at this point. Coming into the board, I've known some town employees there definitely are town employees I've known for more than 35 years, and you wonder how that's going to go. And I've been impressed the whole time by their professionalism. Even incurring up to today, and the reason that I'm bringing this up today is I got a call from a supervisor of another town thanking me for one of our town employees bringing him a piece of equipment. And I said, they do a great job, and they do a lot. And I know supervisors don't think that we're just like helping out other towns. The other towns help us too. I just wanted to make sure I said that, because I haven't said it, and I want that on the record. So put that in the minutes. That's all I have.
For the library in May, Wednesday, May 20th, will be their annual fundraiser. Feed Your Need to Read at the Hungry Trout. The event starts at 5 and lasts the entire evening. Please join in the fun. Reservations are recommended. Call 518-946-2217. The photo exhibit gallery for Pam Hazelton continues throughout the entire month of May, and at their open house for that exhibit, I believe they said there was like 60 people, so it was a good turnout and looked like lots of great photos, and so it was definitely worth going to see. That's about all I have, I guess.
For the sake of time, I'll be like Laura and speak as we go through.
Maybe I should have done that as well. Okay, beach light poles. Okay, Lou, thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay,
So we took them down because they were dangerous. So we have the old lights at the shop and stuff. Also, I put new mailboxes to quote to pave that road. Brunel is the contractor for the county, so we use them. They're actually doing Indian Rock for us. So they came up and the quote was like 32,000 and change to pave that road. And the only thing the highway would provide would be just closing the road down for them and they'll do all the work. So we got that quote, and then we have Lake Champlain Champlain Electric. They needed pictures of what we had for the pole or the piers there. So we took pictures and sent it to them. We haven't heard back from them yet on the light poles and what they have to offer for that. And also I have some contractors coming because I don't think we're going to have time to actually pour the sidewalk this year. We have a lot of work lined up. But what I can do is I can dig out the sidewalks, get rid of them, and just leave them prepared for them to form them out and pour them. So I think there was like 50,000 in there, money that we had.
Roughly about 56,000 we still had on.
Okay, from them. So I think with the sidewalk and the paving and the light poles, I think we'll be under that or right at it. So, and I know Tim talked to John about the light poles at Bill Scuffа would be interested in maybe building some for the town. So I think he's got more info on that. John's sort of been taking care of that a little bit. So I think he talked to Tim about it.
Yeah, I also talked to John about it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how like official it is, so I don't want to speak on it, but
Yeah.
I think we're just waiting. Because you got a quote and I don't want to say a quote until we get, like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to put numbers out there, but it sounds like it's doable. So,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll just wait and see.
And then we pay for our materials and stuff. And we can get all the materials for him and everything.
Right.
But that's it. Any other questions about the beach? And I recommended that if you guys did decide to go ahead with it, that September would be the best time to do that, because I wouldn't close the beach down in June, July, or August. That's too busy of a time to do that, so.
Is the quote good until then?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing is with blacktop quotes, they change just because of
Yep.
gas and oil.
Yep.
It fluctuates. I don't see it. I see it maybe going up a little bit or it may go down.
Okay.
I would say it never goes down. So I would say within, if it goes up 3,000 or 4,000 would be a lot. So at the time that we paid.
And we don't need another bid because it's the
Nope.
county, right?
Yep,
Okay.
we're under the county contract, so the county actually does it for all the towns. And Brunel was the cheapest on the contract.
So on the sidewalk, is it just like sections that have to
It's
be done?
120 feet,
The whole
one
thing?
straight section, the whole section, 120 feet straight. So it's actually the last driveway towards the beach, all the way almost to the corner. That is broken out. So it's 120 feet sidewalk.
But the town, in the end, the town doesn't have to pay for the sidewalk and the road and the
Well,
lights,
so-
or?
Years ago, when they started this project, the town took a deposit of, Nicole said it was 56,000.
Me, it's been more than that, but they used a little bit of it up.
Yeah.
We're going back before my time.
Yeah, to finish the road, fix any repairs and stuff that were done. So the town actually took their money and kept it in an account. So when the project was done, they were supposed to do the work. So it hasn't happened, and it's been, how many years the project's been done? So,
But the thing, in the agreement where they got their permit, it was 3 years.
but yeah,
Yeah.
3 years.
Within 3 years,
Yeah,
you're
and
gonna,
it's been, I think, 15 years on that.
So the town still has their money right now?
Yes. So that money would cover that cost. Because, I don't know, Tim, did you talk to the owners? I mean, were they plan on doing anything or?
well, you know, I haven't gotten a new update since the last time, you know, they want us to take it over. They want us to take over the road.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like that's going to work financially. We're not going to be down any money. Right? It should-
No, yeah, 32,000 and, whatever we do the lanterns and then the sidewalks. I'm waiting for, 3 contractors. So they're supposed to come take a look at it today, or this week sometime or next week. So we can get a, estimate on them forming it and pouring it, because that's the first thing that needs to be done, the sidewalks. And then we pave after. And then the lanterns we can do all during the summer.
Right. Did you mention, I'm sure you mentioned that it's not a town road. I mean,
Yeah, well, technically it's not, it's a right of way for us.
Right.
But once they paved it, we were gonna take it over officially.
Right.
But if we plow something more than 5 years, it's considered a town road. And I've been here 27 and we've been plowing it ever since I've been here, so. So technically, the road is ours, but
It definitely looks a lot better with the rotten light poles taken down.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
100% better.
no problem. So, yeah, so that's the gist of it. When I get the quotes on them forming and pouring the sidewalk, I'll give it to you. I'll have them in before the next meeting, I'm sure. And you can make a decision, because that's the first thing that needs to happen, is the sidewalks get done. And we can dig them up, dispose of them, and that will save a big cost to the town too, so.
I think, once we have a number for everything, I'll do my best. I think he'll be willing to sign a contract, basically. You know, we're going to pay this amount from this money that we've had for 15 years. And in return, the town will take over the road because, you know, don't tell them that you've been plowing it. You know?
Yeah, they know.
That's his priority, is he wants the town to take over the road. So,
Yeah.
Which is fine, but,
Mhm.
have you discussed the light poles?
I sort of told you, or said that somebody was interested in building new ones there.
Yep.
And John sort of was handling that part of it. So I didn't know if you talked to John about building them and how much
Yes. Yep.
and the gist of it.
Yes. So I'm not asking for a resolution on this, but I would like basically just to discuss it and get the go-ahead from the board. Bill Skufka's willing to do it.
I didn't see him because he's waiting on another bid.
I know. Right. So what I'm worried about, Bill is willing to do it for $500 a light pole, which will be $6,000 for the whole thing. He's the person who built the poles around town,
Yep.
the existing
Yep.
poles. The reason why I'm bringing this up now and am kind of feel a sense of urgency about it is because if we don't tell him that we want him to do it, he could take another job, and then we've lost him, and then we've lost this for another year. So I'm worried that if we don't, so again, I'm not asking for a resolution, but I'm asking for the board's permission to tell him yes, and then I'll do a formal resolution at the next meeting. Another reason why I feel this is a good decision is we've discussed if we were to do like metal light poles or do this another way, it would cost multiple times $6,000, right? It would cost.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Right. I think we were saying, I was like, well, four at the minimum and 5 at the minimum, 6 at the minimum, and but 6 times rather, you know,
Yeah.
about 4 times as much, you know. So I really would like to go this direction But I need the board's agreement, and, it's possible that he won't take on another project within the next month, but it's completely possible that he will. So I'd like to just get an informal authorization to go in this direction. And I'll open the floor to everyone. This would be in line with our procurement policy because this is kind of like a sole source. It would be like a sole source contractor or a sole source seller, where we don't have to get multiple bids because there's only one person who does this.
So does that price include, is that just for the poles?
Yeah.
Not the lights, right?
Yep.
And is that
I think
just
that's,
labor? Or
well,
is that
that's
material?
just his labor.
That's
I
right.
think, all the materials and stuff, and we would go get it and bill it to the town. But I think you're gonna be, way cheaper doing it this way than
Yeah.
the other way.
4 times cheaper?
I don't know,
You're saying up to 10 times cheaper.
not me, I ain't saying
You're
nothing,
not saying that?
I'm not saying nothing.
All right.
Yes, I think it's worth doing.
Makes sense.
Okay, good. Anything else about that topic?
No, I think we're good, I think we're moving in the right direction, you're done. So,
Totally agree.
I'll have the cement quotes for you here pretty soon.
Thanks.
So.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I get those numbers, I'll probably send them to our town attorney and have him try and draw something up that formalizes what should have been done 12 years ago.
Okay, good.
I assume the footers would be compatible, because I think it's still a 6x6. I mean,
Yep.
that base, with
Yeah,
that,
it's a 6x6.
Okay, great.
You can bolt right to it and whatever. I'm sure he's got a thing in his mind area he wants to do. Just to leave all that stuff original there, just do the light poles.
Great.
Yep.
Lou, before we move on, I know there was a few things on your equipment list that were due to be replaced necessarily in like 27.
Yeah.
One of them being the truck, and you indicated that it could take up to 2 years.
Yeah.
So if that is still the case, are you planning on coming to the board with those numbers
Yeah, I
figured
was
shortly?
Waiting to see what we had for fund balance from last year and this year, to see what we had for money and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
I think Nicole's got some numbers too, right, all done and stuff, so I was waiting for us to get that stuff, so we can have a better idea of what we have when we're at and stuff.
Okay.
So, but it's to replace a 2016 plow truck, one that does state roads. It takes 2 years to build, and it's starting to show its age. That's the one that we put the rear end in it this winter, and then we had to put rims on it this winter too, because the rims are rotted out on it, and the plow frames get pretty rough on it, so. And it takes 2 years to build a truck now too, so by the time we get the truck, this one is definitely gonna be needed replaced, so. So that's the next thing to be replaced, is that 16 truck, so.
Is there anything we can do about the constant beeping?
I think so.
Great.
You can turn down the
No,
volume.
so that's,
Done.
well, me and Nicole can
Turn
work
the
on that
TV
before the
volume
next
down.
meeting and stuff, to see where we're at, finances and stuff.
It's not gonna affect.
But this is actually, the payment is always there. It's built into my budget, the $50,000 payment.
Right.
So, this F600 is paid for, so right now we don't have a payment on the truck, so. That payment's built into the budget, so it's there all the time. But if we have a good amount of fund balance, we can put a lot down, or maybe even purchase a truck without doing a loan. You know.
Do you want to sit up here, Nicole?
I'll answer for no.
No? Do you want to be excused? Okay, all right, we'll do this next one. You gave us a document. This has been finalized, first of all. Last year, we were totally confused because the papers we got said not final, but at this point, it has been finalized.
Just one thing, Tim.
Yes.
Do you want me to go ahead and tell the Haven, Grinnell, that we'll shoot for September to do it?
I think so. Other thoughts?
Because they need to get us on their schedule.
No, so why not?
Yes, that's a yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Well, do you want to roll through the highlights? Do you want me to roll through the highlights? Do you want to take questions?
Any questions? I did give each of you a report. It's just a overall snapshot of where we stand at the end of the AFR.
Very positive. That's very positive. I guess for the public doesn't know what I'm saying is positive. From last year, we have a large fund balance of $115,000 from the general fund, meaning a budget surplus last year of $115,000. Highway outdid us with $273,000 fund balance from just last year, surplus.
That's why we're talking about maybe buying a truck with that.
Yep, yeah. Water also incredible, budget surplus of $73,000.
I would just like to add,
Please.
on the highway fund, that number seems large, and it's largely because we received 2 snow and ice payments from our state DOT this year, which is not normal. One year they could be behind, the next year they could be ahead. So if you take that overpayment out of the equation, he's really down to around 98,000 of surplus.
Okay.
Oh, Tim, you're on it.
Okay, good.
I just want to caution because.
No, that's good. That's important.
Plus, we have this year to finish up.
I'd already spent it in my mind, so. So,
And this year, winter was a real winter, so we may be very close this year.
Yes.
Sand use and salt and
And
overtime and repairs. This was actually a winter.
you said the highway budget surplus for 2025 was roughly 98,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Still very good, still very, better than the other way, better than 50,000. It's very positive.
Nicole, why is the planning escrow taken out of the fund balance?
Because it's money that you can't spend.
Isn't that part of our general fund prior to the 2025?
It's accounted for in general fund, but it's an assigned balance. It's, the money that's in that account is what we were discussing earlier about this money that's been on hold for this paving project.
Right, but it's already part of our funds. It's not coming from 2025. It's been there for however many years.
But you need to take that away from what you think is your fund balance because it's not spendable on anything.
But it doesn't necessarily have to come from 2025. It could come from the fund balance that we have for,
Even if I
Our
gave you,
general.
even if I looked at the AFR and said what the overall fund balance is for general fund, I would still reduce that by the amount that's in the planning escrow because it's not spendable unless it's on those projects.
So Nicole and I talked about this at length yesterday, and I think we'll probably post this whole thing on the town website. I think that would make sense to do. You know, one of the things that really jumps out at you is our unassigned fund balance from 2023 to 2024 jumped by $700,000. That's probably one of the most noteworthy things in the document. And that's based on the dam reimbursement. That's based on the town had to pay for the dam to be redone, but the town received a grant, and we finally got the money from New York State that we had been expecting. And that's why that $700,000 jump. But yes, our fund balance has continued to grow, very positive. I'm just going through, sales tax is split between the county and the state, and then a small percentage of the county's portion is divvied up to the towns using an incomprehensible formula. Our sales tax is growing. Went 86,000, 92,000, 100,000 in 3 years. Community enhancement funds, that's the bed tax money. Seems like we're not getting as much as we have, but that could just be based on when the checks arrive and are deposited. So hopefully that's what it is. And hopefully, because the formula through which that's distributed by the county is also, it's hard to understand, and it seems to change. It's definitely changed multiple times since I've been on the board. The STR fees are positive, 56,000 last year. Building permits, 20,000 last year. One thing that I think Laura and I had both noticed and wondered, like, what the heck is that? Is sale of forest products. Sale of forest products is when someone logs, they have to submit a report to the county and pay a tax on their logging. And then, again, a small percentage of that comes back to the town. So, but that's not something that's predictable, and as everyone can see, it's wild fluctuations. But so that's what that is. It sounds like we're selling things out of the town's forest, but that's not what it is. We're selling wood, or I'm getting to the only other thing I wanted to discuss or mention. The lawyer fees we took a huge hit on that in 2023. And that is another very positive. I mean, we spent $150,000 on lawyer fees in 2023, down to 34,000 2024, 9,000 last year. So, and I don't want to jinx ourselves, so I'll leave it at that. Street lighting, that's something hopefully we can discuss at some point in the near future. Okay. So I'm just going to discuss why we have the fund balance, unless you would like to. I don't want to steal your spotlight. This is your chance. Okay, here's some of the reason why we were up by such a large amount. We budgeted for a cleaner, didn't hire a cleaner. We didn't have an assessor for the whole year. We were down an assessor. Our expenses on garbage were down. The youth program fell through last summer, so we saved $6,000 on that. Our health insurance expenses were lower than expected. They were and lower than the previous year, which is definitely not something we can count on, but we're happy that happened. We didn't have anyone on unemployment insurance, any former town employees, so we saved $2,500 that way. We received $19,000 from the county. It was basically correcting an error from a previous year, if I understood correctly. We received 30,000 more in sales tax than we budgeted for, 3,000 more in planning board fees than we budgeted for, 5,000 more in garbage charges than we budgeted for, 15,000 more than we expected in interest, 4,300 in building rental, which we hadn't received in previous years, 10,000 more in building permits, 11,000 more in septic permits. So that's big picture. And then again, we got more than we expected in sales tax and some of these other things the town has intentionally, historically underestimated what we thought we would receive, which does make sense in case there's a recession or in case something that one can't foresee happens. So you don't want to budget the same as you made the previous year. You want to be cautious. I have argued about some of the budgets, and I don't argue with being cautious. I just thought we were being a little too cautious. That's all. But it's all good news, and I'll turn it over to the rest of the board if anyone else has anything they'd like to say or questions or.
Thank you.
You guys are excused.
No, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Nicole.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks.
I will say you guys did a pretty good job budgeting for the 26 budget where we adjusted some of that, so we did not see such big overages in
Okay.
2026.
Okay. You mean surplus, right? Because we were less cautious this time.
Correct.
Right. Right. And there could be an economic downturn, as we've discussed. I don't think, probably that wouldn't surprise anyone in this room. We get less sales tax this year or occupancy tax or anything else. Okay. You're more than welcome to, you don't have to stay the rest of the meeting if you don't feel like it. Yeah.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Giant project. Not a small document. Okay, blighted properties, I'm just going to repeat quickly what I said at the last meeting. We do have a property that's been a problem for years, and this was discussed at the county level. Obviously, Wilmington is not unique, and the problem with this property is garbage. Maybe not what we would usually think of as blight. It's just overrun with literal garbage. And to the point that there's definitely garbage on other properties. There's plenty of garbage on other properties from this one property. So garbage is within the category of blight. And how towns deal with this in New York State is, it's unusual. You don't go through the judicial process. The town passes a blight law, which allows the town board to levy a $2,500 addition on their tax bill for a residential property, or $5,000 addition on their tax bill for a commercial property, and that gets people's attention. They can't just ignore it, because if you ignore your tax bill, you lose your blighted property, and it becomes someone else's to deal with. Well, the idea is that it becomes a non-blighted property. Someone else will be a little more motivated. But also the idea is, if you're levied if you know that there's a good chance you'll be getting a $2,500 fine, you'll deal with it, is the goal. The goal is not to go through all of this process and have a tax auction. The goal is to pick up the trash, man. Anyway, I brought this up last meeting. I know that some of the board was unsure about this, and I just wanted to repeat it. So hopefully I was more clear this time. And this is just for discussion, not even, that's all I want to say. Just want to explain what I meant. And we're trying to deal with this just through Doug contacting them, but Doug has contacted them, and it gets better somewhat. They don't pick up the garbage. It gets somewhat better, but it's right back to as bad as it's been now. So we're trying to ask them to deal with it. That's where it is. And the town board may want to seriously consider passing this law. That's all. Otherwise, I'm not sure it'll ever be dealt with, really. I don't see another way of dealing with it. So, senior van.
So Pat Lynch asked about, transportation for the seniors in town. They used to have a minibus for transportation, like to the church for meals and stuff. And, I do believe they went shopping a little bit. Maybe, I don't know if they went to Plattsburgh or Saranac Lake or Lake Placid or whatever. But anyways, I ended up calling the Office of the Aging to see if they had any access to grants or anything, and they said no, well, she said there was no grants available at this time. But she thought maybe she could come up with another idea. And so she would get back to me in a couple of days, which she did. And so it's kind of like, this could be kind of like a pilot program for other towns if it works out for this town. And it would be like a 12-passenger new van. The county would pay for the van. The town would pay for the maintenance and the records and the upkeep of the van. And the age limits are for seniors only, so it couldn't be used for the youth, unfortunately. Insurance would be paid by the town. Town authorized driver paid by the town, and there would be a contract between the town and the county. Records would be kept of the uses of the van and passengers, how many passengers and whatnot. And right now we're kind of waiting on she was going to start working on a contract so the town could present, or the town board could present the contract to the public to see what they thought of it and everything. So right now we're just waiting on a contract so we can present it to the people, and hopefully it's going to be a go. It sounded good at the
It
time.
sounds basically like the same one Jeannie got way back when,
Mhm.
that we got the senior van before.
She seemed pretty optimistic, this Chrissy,
Weeks,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
It sounds like the same thing. You weren't on board yet, then you were just on water.
It comes through like unappropriated funds or something, she
Mhm.
said, and she talked to her supervisor and another person, and they were all for it, so
That's
it
great.
sounded pretty positive, so,
Good job.
well, let's
Totally.
hope so. I'm all for it, for sure.
You said it's a pilot program?
They said it could turn into that depending on how well this town does with it and everything, then they could look into other towns that were looking for senior citizen transportation. Sounds like a pretty good program, because it kind of sounded like to me that they have this money that's available, but they kind of don't know what to do with it. And I wish I had that problem. But anyways,
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Lifeguards, just want to, this is basically an advertisement. We need more lifeguards. We have basically 3 1/4 lifeguards at this point. Which, it's not the end. If we only have 4 lifeguards, ultimately, the beach, won't have the beach open every day, which is not going to be a travesty, but we would like to have the beach open long hours in the best case scenario every day. So, maybe we should think about raising we need to think about doing something, because at this point we only have 3 1/4. So I just want to ask the board for help finding them, or the public for help, and or if you know anyone who's interested in being a lifeguard, we do have some youth, some teens who are interested. Of course, at this point, it's hard to find classes. The one remaining class at North Country Community College, they're all booked. There may be more than one. It's like a 3-day course, but the ones remaining are all booked. So we could use some lifeguards. I just wanted to mention that. The same, it's very similar with health director, except more urgent. You know, the amount of hoops you have to go through to have a summer youth program. It's brutal. Yeah, and I think I've mentioned maybe before, when I was meeting with the Department of Health here, and they just kept pulling out more forms, I felt like I was in a Saturday Night Live sketch, because it was, we've been working on this since January, and we are trying our best. We do have good news. We do have a director. We also need a health director. So this is the same where, if anyone knows, and the specifics for what that means are kind of, it does seem like every person you ask to within the bureaucracy tells you something different. Like, it can be an EMT, what qualifications they have to have. It can be an on-call nurse. Well, can it be this building here? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. Anyway, if anyone knows, anyone who wants to, an on-call nurse, to me, maybe if for the right person, that could be a good job, because you're just on call. That is the biggest stumbling block at this point, is we have yet to find a health director. I know.
And when did all this start? Was it because of last year's situation, or it's just going on?
The town had flown under the radar for a couple of years, where the town didn't know that. I didn't know as a board member. I don't think the town supervisor knew. We had a summer youth program, but the law is, what's that? Forever.
We've had one here for years.
Yep. Yes, I participated, so it's been going on a long time. So yeah. At some point, the town realized that if there's more than 9 children, you have to go through this voluminous, and you need a health director. You need a director who has to be a teacher, but can they be this kind of teacher? Well, maybe, or this other type of teacher, and what certifications. We're probably gonna have to change the door on the youth center, because it's not up to the Department of Health wants. So this is just because the town has realized that this is what New York State requires for more than 9 kids. So.
And we just didn't know this until last year.
Correct.
Okay,
Sometimes it's good to not know things.
right. We had a program.
But, yeah. But we're trying to, we're wading through this bureaucratic morass. And we need some kind of nurse or EMT. The good news, having said all of that, is we have found a director. I forwarded her resume and her references to the board. She was recommended by a town resident. She's a ski instructor at Whiteface. And she has, a resume full of experiences working at camp. She currently runs the Elizabethtown Youth Center. So very solid candidate. What's that?
Leslie?
No, it's not. It's someone Leslie recommended. Someone who works with or for Leslie at Whiteface. So I'll make this resolution to hire Lucy. Pat, you weren't following along I'll make this resolution to hire Lucy. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I think I was at the interview. She's plenty qualified. She's ready and able to go through the paperwork required from the DOH. She was up for going and talking to them. I think we asked her a whole bunch of questions, and she's familiar with a lot of the requirements. She used to was at Lake Clear Camp, and
She was the assistant director of a large camp, a very large camp. I think she has this is more or less what she went to school for, and outdoor education. She has a background in outdoor education as well. I did put in that she's authorized to work prior to the start of the summer program because she has to tour the Parks building with the Department of Health, and she has to go talk to the Department of Health, and it's just endless. But it's a bottomless abyss of bureaucratic requirements. So I don't think it'll take 50 hours. I really don't know how many hours it'll take, so I'm just saying she's authorized to start in the near future because there's a lot to be done prior to even the last day of school. Is there further discussion?
I got a couple of
Okay.
questions.
Yep.
So I have no problem with her hiring someone, but how do we make a job offer to someone when we don't know anything about the job yet? We don't know if it's gonna be 3 days a week. We don't know if it's gonna be 4 days a week. We don't even know if we're gonna necessarily have a program if we don't get approved. So is she all right taking a job offer and agreeing to it when we don't, it's kind of open-ended on everything. Typically, you don't offer a job to somebody when you don't guarantee, all right, it's gonna be 32 hours a week, it's gonna be whatever, and just be like, all right, you're our youth director, but we don't know anything about it.
Our thought is if we get a health, to me, the major stumbling block at this point is the health director. If we get the health director, the current thought is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, basically working hours. Like, I guess 8 to 4 roughly. What are the other questions? And then,
And
you know,
she's okay with that, is what I'm saying.
She was fine with those days, those hours. She understands we're kind of in a limbo state at the moment. She knows that we're still applying. It was laid out there.
I just
And-
don't wanna like
No, I
present her
totally
the offer and then all of a sudden, oh, no program, sorry, you don't have a job.
I don't even know if we could technically still have a program for 9 kids regardless, right? I mean,
I don't know.
if, I think there's a better than 50% chance we'll find a health director. If we don't find a health director, I still would like to do a program for 9 kids. How that looks, I have given very little thought to because all the effort has been into dealing with this, collected works of Shakespeare level of paperwork. So, so hopefully we don't have to figure out what happens if we can't do it. But if we can't do it, I would like to do something, and then she could do that job for 9 kids. I guess is what we would have to do in that situation. Because last year when this all went down, we said, all right, we'll just hire some people to keep that building open, and kids can go up there. It didn't work at all. There were, I want to say, like 2 kids who went the entire time. So that was not a good use of the budget. So we won't be doing that. But let's just hope let's just work to find some kind of health director, and that's our focus. Do you have other questions, Darren? What's that?
Are you done? Roll call vote?
I'm just wondering if anyone else had any.
Do you want to take any of the public?
Not that much. Is there a member of the public who has
I
something
just saw
burning
that.
to say?
What does the health director do? You mentioned some, I thought they do.
Directs the health. They,
Tim,
I think, go ahead,
do you want
please.
me to answer that?
Joyce is more
The health
familiar.
director-
Joyce, you'll get a
The
better
health
voice.
director has to be, at least with my camp, they have to be on site 24/7 with
Well,
whatever time the children are there. They administer medicine if the kids have to have medicine, or they're there if the kids get hurt. Yeah, they can call the ambulance, but that's not how the state of New
There has to
York
be
runs
somebody
things.
on scene.
Yes. So if they go to the beach, that person has to be at the beach. If you go on a trip, that person has to go on the trip. They're the ones that administer EpiPens, or if kids have ADHD medicine or Tylenol because they have a headache, they have to be there with them at all times. And it's tough.
And actually,
Tough.
to follow up on that, the Tylenol or whatever, is a whole nother
Yeah,
ballgame.
yeah, but the health director
Because
can
without
take care of
one
that.
from the parents, they
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, as you say, Charlie, it may be different because this is a day camp rather than a sleepaway. But I'm sure you're right that if they go to the beach, probably the health director has to, I don't know.
yes.
My understanding was that the health director could just be on call, but like I
I
said,
would-
this seems like,
I would just advise, if you're going to, you can find somebody, sit with Kirsten and make sure that's
Yep.
all right before you
Yep.
do it, because
yeah,
she would never, we've been flat out told, kids are there, the health directors have to be there.
In fact, for our camp, he's at camp during the day and
As a second.
as a second EMT because we have more than
Right.
9 kids, obviously.
Right.
But, yeah, so,
But you're right. A lot of work.
yeah, I am much more sympathetic to the previous administration than I was about this topic than I was on election day. Okay, yes, so Lucy, as of now, hopefully she can come to the next meeting and give a good report of what is a health director for a day camp. And so I'll tell her if she can get going on fixing that door. Okay, roll call vote?
Hannah?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Brandy?
Yes.
Carried, all in favor?
This again is more. So I had thought that the boards of assessment review appointments were for 3 years.
Okay, another thing,
Okay.
the date's wrong. It's not December, it's September. They have a weird ending. So if you give me permission to change that, we can go ahead and do this.
Yes,
But I just wanted to let you know that it's
Yep.
not December like a normal person,
thank you.
or a normal office, I should say.
Okay, yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's weird.
So yeah, these are 5-year terms. I'm not sure why I thought they were 3-year terms, but, so I'll just make a motion to make this appointments, all these appointments. Is there a second? Do this at once.
Make it.
Is that all right procedurally, you think, to do this
Oh,
all
yeah,
at the
I
same
can,
time?
I'll just rewrite it a
All three
little
of
bit, so there's only one resolution. Are you down through?
Is there any discussion? Okay, Laura, you're gonna abstain?
Yep.
So all in favor?
We should probably,
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
no discussion as far as anything, but we should probably say their names at least for the minutes and so it's recorded.
Baron Harris, Jason Hooker, Noel Wood. And again, I thank them. I think the board thanks them because again, it was a struggle to find people for these positions. And so thanks to the 3 of them.
And they all went to the training
Yes.
last week, so.
Yep. This is one of the, you don't do this to become a popular person in town, I don't think. Further discussion? Right, we should probably do a roll call vote, I would think.
Laura's abstaining. Hannah?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Brandy?
Yes.
Carried, all in favor except for Laura abstaining.
I'll hand this one over to Hannah. She's the co-chair of the comprehensive plan. You're the temporary chair, temporary co-chair of the comprehensive plan committee.
Yes. There are 2 main grants that are available when you're updating or redoing the comprehensive plan for a town. A DEC one and a Department of State one. Unfortunately, the DEC one is not available this cycle, but the Department of State one is. And we would just like sort of the authority to really get started on that. The goal is to have a draft for the county to look at by June, I believe, and then to have it ready to submit by July. So this just helps us get the ball rolling on that. And then the only thing, for anyone that has a copy, I would like to just table the last section of this. I just want to double check the language a little bit before we go forward with that. And I would like to do it, I'd like to just wait until the end of the month for that.
I think it's the second to last paragraph, right? The second to last. Oh, no, you're right. Well, it'll be the second to last and the last, I think.
Yeah, I think it's both.
Okay.
Just the last section.
The greenhouse gas.
No, that's the next one. That's the,
Whoops. Jumped it there.
you know, I think it is the, I think it would just be the second to last.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think you're right.
Would someone like to make that motion to pass this resolution?
Just without that part, yes.
And tabling that.
Yeah, tabling that.
Okay.
I'll second it. Is there a discussion?
I don't, what, then we'll have to pass another resolution for the last two parts.
The last, just the last, just this part.
We need some more specific language, I think.
No, I get it. I just don't know why we don't like move the whole thing.
I don't know if there's any sense of urgency. I don't know if it's important to do this before the next meeting. It seemed like there was, but
Yeah, I think the first part could still help us just get started
Okay, great.
or continue a little further.
Fine.
Um,
Minus the last two sections, I'm fine with that.
just the last section. I'm sorry, second to last.
Second to last section. Oh, okay, gotcha, because it's talking about the grant.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And that's the one that says comprehensive plan working group, right?
Yes.
So that we're
Yes.
on the same page. Yes.
Additional discussion. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Again, and I'll let you take the lead on, well, I guess I'll make this, you're gonna make the motion, right?
Sure, yeah.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Okay, discussion, Hannah, please take it away.
Yeah, this is sort of procedural. We are adopting a motion that we will become a climate smart community. There's a few different things that I will bring a little bit later as well, but this will help us with the Department of State grant and likely with some other grants as well. We make some pledges that will work towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions, a few other things with some of the state climate smart goals. And this just sort of gets the ball rolling on that.
Additional discussion.
Does this lock us into anything? Because I personally don't agree with a lot of New York State things, like electric plow trucks, electric school buses, all of that type of stuff. And if that locks us into anything like that, then I'm not in favor of it.
It locks us into nothing.
So
Like
we're
I said,
basically
it's pretty
just saying
procedural.
this, but we don't have to do any of it.
The only action that you have to take after adopting this is appointing, and I don't remember the specific language, you just have to appoint someone who is gonna take lead on this. But there are no specific requirements. What you see as written is what it is.
Yeah, I gotta say, even some of this I wouldn't really want to do, you know, some of it. It's bizarre. With a different but similar thing at the county level, I said, what is the point of this? It sounds nice and it makes people feel good, but it doesn't actually mean anything. And the answer I got was, don't expect it to make sense. So, okay.
And actually, we passed several like this before, Darren. He's just not remembering them right now.
It is, like I said, it is pretty procedural. It looks good for us as we apply for some specific grants.
It's necessary.
Like I don't think we should inventory our emissions as a town, you know, but I agree with most of it. So yeah. This is what they want us to do. It's just more bureaucratic rigmarole.
And I think as far as the lead, I think the supervisors they put down in the past is the lead.
Oh, man. Okay.
Sorry. That's the way I remember it.
Additional discussion. Okay, all in favor? Do you have anything else to say? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Good.
You're not.
Understandable.
There's just too many things in it that I don't want to commit to.
Yep. I totally get it. It's a strange thing. And I'm not crazy about it either. So.
I will just say, I think it just allows us to make changes to our code and things that would fall in line with this and give us a standing for why that we're doing them. So, and similar to the pro-housing pledge that we made, and how that helps us move forward with things that can actually help with the town. So some of these initiatives are definitely things that probably would be coming down the pike. It doesn't mean we have to be all in on them, but I think it would help us if we needed to, elaborate on why that we're doing them.
Like I said, I'm just worried about things like shift to clean renewable energy and stuff like that. And, with no fossil fuels and new house builds and things like that. I was not in favor of that from the start. I'm not in favor of that now. And by passing something like that, I feel like we're going along with that type of programs. So that's the reason I'm voting against it.
Like I said, I understand. And don't require it to make sense. Like, the town is going to shift to renewable energy. How? What? Okay. This is what we're supposed to do.
This Albany.
No. I don't think that's really under our control. But this will get us points on our grant application, so that's what we're supposed to do. And I was told don't think about it too much. Don't expect it to make sense. Procurement policy. This is something we've been talking about for a while. Our current procurement policy is literally incoherent. I think we're all in agreement that our procurement policy needs to be updated. This is basically a combination of my attempt to understand and untangle some of the parts of our current policy that don't make sense. And when I say don't make sense, when I say it doesn't make sense, it's gibberish almost. So that I'm trying to make sense of it and make it make sense. And then I combined it with some of the county's policies. We've talked about, we're kind of hindered, some things that need to be done. Do we want to have to wait, or do we want to have the board approve, a $3,000 purchase? Some of the numbers, I think there was a sense among the board that some of the numbers were outdated. So I just, the numbers that are highlighted are numbers that I changed. I think I moved them up. I believe I moved them up from 1,500 to 2,500. Again, the awarding of contracts, similar. How it was didn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, so it's highlighted because it's different. And I'm not sure what it was previously, but I believe it was lower than 3,000, so I went up to 3,000. This section, professional services and consultants, this is the section that was literally incomprehensible in our current policy. This is mostly from the county's policy. The last section is almost directly from the county's policy. This is not a previous town policy. This is not in our current policy, but it is in the county's. So, I guess we didn't have a resolution yet on this, so I'll make a motion to adopt this procurement policy. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
It's definitely more reasonable because, as we've seen from many of our discussions and the things that are coming to us from the different departments or needs from, even from not necessarily contracts, but just purchases for things that need to be replaced. We're getting into that muddy water of, should we talk about it at the next board meeting and some of these things. I know there's emergency bypass, but still, these aren't emergency, but they are kind of timely. So I think this is well within the, moving forward.
Additional comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. This is what we were just talking about, and I think that there's a deadline by which this has to be done. So that's why, and this is also fits in with what we were just talking about, because our current procurement policy is, we would have to approve this, if it's more than $1,500. As of a few seconds ago, I can approve it up to 2,500 without needing to take it to the board. So I guess we can just skip it since I can approve it on my own. So
I think the only reason that door needs to be replaced is because it opens to the inside,
that's right.
and it's gotta open to the outside,
And it needs a crash bar on it.
you know?
Yep. The sign is the same. I've got a quote on the sign for 2,100. So that's positive because, well, I guess since this is expending occupancy tax money, we should vote on it.
I thought we already did that one. Back when we had John's, you had a whole bunch of them lumped together for John to.
Right.
And I thought we'd already approved the purchase of a sign.
No, you might be right.
I think it was up to like $2,500 or something.
Remember? Sounds good to me.
I'm
But
not,
if you can spend 2,500, it's 2,200, then
the only
you point
reason,
again.
the only reason to vote on it is because it's occupancy tax. And, I think you're right, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'd like to just go through the motions, pun intended. Can I have a motion?
Make
Okay.
it,
I guess, and we'll put the number at 2,500. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I guess it has to be roll call, right?
Second it,
I think Darren did.
Randy and Darren.
Roll call,
Hannah? Yes. Darren?
Yes.
Tim?
yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Randy?
yes,
Carried, all in favor.
This next one is, this was brought to my attention by Laura, that Jay has a memorandum of understanding, and also Nicole brought it to my attention. This is, you'll always be learning in a job like this. Towns are not really allowed to make donations to groups. Like we're not allowed to give the J News $500, even though they asked for $500. We have to make it some kind of a contract. I think the town has given groups money in the past. And I've seen in the files, Bill Kissel bringing this up as a problem and everyone just ignoring him. And just going ahead with what they want to do. But legally, towns shouldn't be giving groups money without, it has to be a bargain. The town has to be getting something. So this is just that. Just to explain what this is. And it's almost identical to the town of Jay's memorandum of understanding with the Jay Community News. We voted to approve this money last month, but without the memorandum of understanding. So I just want to approve the memorandum of understanding. I'm sorry, did I make a?
I don't think so.
All right, can I get a motion on this resolution, please?
Make it second.
Okay. I guess roll call vote, spending money.
Hannah?
Yes.
Darren?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Randy?
yes.
Carried, all in favor.
I've explained this to the board via email for the public. Supervisor Smith, multiple times, we've spent a lot of time trying to come up with a facilities use form. Supervisor Smith repeatedly said that our insurance indemnification section is not good and should be updated. I asked him to update it. It was never updated. So me taking him at his word that it's not good, and I think he may have been right about that. I asked the county deputy county attorney to send us theirs. He didn't. Well, he did, but he sent their whole facilities use application form, which I read and realized that it's better than ours, much better than our facilities use form. Our current facilities use form is at the end of the packet. So if anyone wants to compare them. I suppose I'll make a motion to approve this. And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. I said to Laura, we're not gonna make it through half of this. Laura was right. This next resolution, I'll make this motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. This is just a standard thing we do every year to approve this event at the beach. And because it's 8 o'clock, I'm not gonna say anything else. Is there additional discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, I didn't write up the usual preamble to approve the contract. I think that's the second to last thing. But I'll make a motion to approve this contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You've got blank spaces in here.
I know, I was just, that's why I said, the usual days that it's open are,
Oh, you're asking me.
you
Monday through Friday, or Monday through Saturday, 10 to 2. We are just closed on Sunday. Christina does work until 4 every day, so if someone was to come to the door, I'm sure she would open the door. We do have Barb on Saturdays, and she works from 10 to 2.
okay, so I guess we, all in favor? That's the only blank. I thought there was another blank, but I don't think there is. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Well, we may actually get to this. This last one, may I have a motion on this? Motion to update the town's logo.
Thank you.
I'll second it. Discussion. Roll call vote.
We can't, for the same reason we can't do donations, we can't do cash
I know.
prizes.
So what, I'll have to rewrite this, and you are correct. We have to buy the image and like license the image, and it will belong to the town. And that's what we'll pay for the image. But that is true, and therefore I'm fine with rewriting it to have that in there. So I'll motion to table this.
Table.
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, motion to accept the vouchers and claims. Go ahead. You
Sure, I'll make it.
Is there a second? Okay, discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. Aye. Okay. You want to take over now? No. Okay, comment from the public.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cliff?
Question about beach light poles.
Yes,
Are they gonna match the log ones that are currently in town?
that's the idea, yes. Yep,
Where are the logs gonna come from?
hopefully the homestead housing property.
You mean the decorative
The
one?
cedar log post in the bar.
No,
everything's all
I don't
cedar
believe
log.
so.
You
I
may-
think it's gonna be similar to the ones that were taken out.
All out of like a 6x6.
Yes, it's 6x6
So
milled
that's
wood.
why it's square dimensional lumber,
Mhm.
which is a log.
Mhm.
Really?
You paying for it?
Well, the reason I
You
asked
are really.
I have a piece of property with a lot of cedar logs on it. I would donate the logs if you want that. Because all the original logs came from this specific piece of property.
Okay.
One of the lots, go that route.
Yeah, cedar log, the cedars.
So the ones that are pretty, not the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
I vote for the pretty ones.
But that could affect the price from Bill.
Yes, that could.
If
Yes.
he, if he, gave a price.
That's a lot
more lumber.
Also, those lamps are 2,500, what, 1,200? What did we say?
Yeah,
$1,200?
But I'm not,
Piece.
I don't think we should buy those lamps.
I mean, if they're looking, I don't either, but I'm just
there
saying
must
if
be
that's
some-
what we're looking for.
That would be, I mean, say goodbye to the budget surplus.
No, I know, I
Um,
just,
Yeah, I was not, I'm thinking we'll pay a fraction of that. I'm not, but
I bet there's a knockoff that you could get, looks like them.
and you'd actually research that. But
they're
there was-
smaller, it's half the price, but it's like 12 inches as opposed to 18 or 24. I can't remember the dimensions. I went through it with John, but they're not, I mean,
Ask people who own the condos if they want to chip in to make these are really nice ones for their upscale.
Mhm.
That's gonna happen.
So I had thought that what Bill was going to make were light posts that are similar to the ones in town. But, okay, what he's going to make are similar to the ones that had been there.
The ones that were there. Yeah. That's what
Okay.
they talked about when Louis was in here.
Okay,
Laura asked about it.
well, okay. And then the previous ones there were made out of cedar, is that?
No,
No, they were.
Wood.
The ones in town are made out.
the ones in town.
The ones that are over by the Visitors Bureau in that area are all cedar.
And down in the actual beach area.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's what I thought I thought that's what.
Did the-
I don't think that you're necessarily wrong, Tim, because
Well.
Bill is not Bill's the one that made the ones through the rest of town. And I'm guessing that's why he wanted to be involved in the project, because he made all the rest of the cedar light poles. So I'm guessing that's why Bill wanted to be involved. But obviously I have no knowledge of it before tonight, but I'm guessing as creative as Bill is, considering he did the rest of the town, he would not just want to put a standard 6x6, but I could be wrong. I just don't know why he would want to be involved if that's what was, because anybody could do them.
what was
He's on
said
the-
was we would purchase 6x6 milled wood, or he would mill the lumber that we provided to him. So I mean, they said 6x6, and I don't believe that the ones in town are 6x6, they're like a real log, so that's what I was told, that's what my understanding is, but I did not speak to Bill myself, so I could be wrong. Or I
It's
could have
only a phone call
misinterpreted it.
away, right?
We can clarify it in the next meeting.
Yeah, I think we'll have to, we didn't formally do anything, I just.
No, then you could go ahead.
Yeah. So, we'll follow up with you about that. Thank you. Thanks.
One more,
Okay,
not to drag it out. Just a question, the woman Lucy that you hired for the youth center director?
yep.
With the proper training, could she be the health director as well? Or does it have to be a separate?
If she's not a nurse or any NP now, she doesn't have time.
It's a great point, but
Two for one.
We were also looking to see if she could be one of the counselors, like if she would count in the mix for the counselors. So that was the other thing she was gonna check with the department about.
I think she can. I think that part of it she can.
That one you can pull up.
Because I've been the director and counselor. But as far as the health director thing goes, you have to have the credentials, and you have to have a current CPR class, and it has to be current.
Yes, it has to be.
Even though-
It's a 2-year course, it has to be done.
It has to be current, and you have to make sure that your EMT or whoever you're hiring has their license, and you have to show all that stuff.
Would
Yeah.
you guys be interested?
I mean, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah. Everywhere you look, there's roadblocks. What about when she gets calls? Her day ends earlier than the camp. So that's not a perfect solution, but we've discussed it, and that's what we just realized, is that if she has a call, and some days she gets a lot of calls, and then.
We're talking Kristen?
Yeah.
Yeah, she can't do it. The primary job is the ambulance.
But we're trying hard to figure it out, and hopefully I'm not naively optimistic, hopefully I'm just optimistic. Please, Charlie.
Just real quick, Randy, the 12 passenger van, is that big enough for our senior group?
Bigger than what we got.
Well, I know, but you know how many,
I couldn't tell you.
you just put them all in a group and say you, and you, or how does it work?
Anything bigger than that, they need a special license for.
First come,
Right,
first
you
serve, I
can't, you
guess.
can't have 15 passenger van, insurance won't insure them.
So they'd have to take turns.
Motion to go.
Sign up.
I doubt if everybody would wanna go all at once to the same place probably, but who knows?
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session, seeing no other hands for public comment.
Yeah. And we're seniors.
To discuss the, me too, or what was it, right? Personnel,
Personnel.
I don't think that's.
Call people, those are fine.
Thanks, Barb. Thanks for coming.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Well, I know that they've gone, I know
What we
they've
doing?
gone to like shows and stuff. To listen to them say. Oh,
Hmm.
I'm amazed.
You want to drive to the end? I'll do the first trip. If we can't fit them out.
Okay, no, I think they've gone.
You can do that.
I love their shirt.
But I think if you're going.
Yeah, I got like they're running, so they don't.
And, when the people want to go, you need to.
Yep, that's a good idea. It's not that big.
Oh, I have my room.
Some probably.
We never had a private work, even before go, in the scene buses, we never had a huge population.
Well, there's a lot of seniors, but nobody wants to.
Well, I know they.
They want to drive.
I don't know. A lot of them.
How did it go at,
We just pulled over there.
yeah.
I didn't, there wasn't a car.
John, John's.
No.
Yeah, you don't have.
No, maybe I'll tell, Terry to get it.
Or give mine,
Yeah,
whatever.
her daughter communicates with her.
It's all, it's
We'll
complicated.
do one for you, one for you.
I'm okay. You're okay?
She's missing you, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it most of it.
I think
Yeah, well,
this
that's
weekend will be a little better.
Are you coming to the
No, I would
house
have
to
her
work
check
with Don this weekend?
No, I told you, listen, you and I have to talk about that. I don't know what his problem is. I need to tell him I said this. But
I don't know.
He was kind of mean. He was rude. He was extremely rude. And then he was more rude via text afterwards.
Why?
So I told you, Emily and I will take care of what needs to be done. If you want him to do beyond that, that's between you and him.
Okay.
But I don't need to deal with that.
Oh, he was really,
Yeah. She's graduating this weekend. I'm going over there for her graduation.
I just wanted everybody's stuff to know.
Good.
Well, that's good for the
A master's program. So.
Well, no, it's a legal document.
Yeah, but I just wanted to, we'll take, you know,
We're on
for
the same page.
yeah, okay. I thought we were,
I
he was
noticed.
just, he came in kind of hot.
Yeah, but I think what it is he's giving up his weekend. So I think you should give up your weekends too.
I don't have weekends to begin with.
You have to stay, we get to leave. Ha ha ha.
That's not
I can't
nice.
do what I want when there's a camera. That's the witnesses.
I will.
Thanks. Get her in the parking lot.
See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I have to drop a couple things.
Hannah? I'll have Christina send you a message about the meeting so that
That'd be
you
great.
have it,
That'd be
okay?
awesome. I appreciate it.
All right, no
Thank you.
problem.
And
You're
thank you
welcome.
for that. I
Yes.
would love it. I'm gonna stop by as soon as I have the 5 seconds. After this weekend. Me neither.
See you later. You're not gonna stay and see what they decide on executive session?
No, I have.
Yeah, me too, but I can't leave. I'm gonna record it, so I don't know what to say. Oh.
talk to myself a while.
Nothing was decided.
No, back in section first.
Motion. to
I'll make the
adjourn.
motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Adjourn.
We just did.
No,
that was
we
way back
came
in,
back
back
into
Oh.
section.
He brought us
They
to
could-
order now.
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session. Is there a second?
I thought that's
We
what we
already
did.
No,
Now
we
we
need to
can
adjourn.
I made a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourning and we're getting out of executive
All
session.
right, let's start over.
We're just
Okay,
doing,
Darren, you made the motion to come out of executive section.
Yeah.
I'll second it. All
Now
in
we need a
favor?
motion, yeah.
All in
I
favor?
make a
Everyone's in
motion to go
favor.
home.
Motion, Hannah makes motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
can I make a motion